Hello everyone, welcome. This video is about our SLP Culminating Community Garden Presentation Project. The video was created by Brandy Parra, Jacob Nygaard, Vanessa Nunez, Jason Norwood, and myself, Liz Navarro. For our methodology, we concluded that it is imperative for our students to engage in the execution of the SLP Garden Project by actively participating in collaboration to create a community garden in the classroom, which will eventually transition to a school-wide project. For our methodology implementation, we agreed that it is essential for our students to exert some level of accountability. Therefore, students will be responsible for ensuring that the garden is well maintained. They will accomplish this by keeping a journal where they will annotate important garden-related progress notes. Students will have the opportunity to choose as a group which journal method they would like to use. The journal method options are hard copy, digital format via Google Slides, or via the Garden Digital app. Up next, Brandy Parra.
Hello. Okay, so to move forward with the methodology implementation, we're going to look closer at the standards. So I have the standards listed over here on the left-hand side on our notebook, and on the right-hand side, I just have a preview of the Garden Digital app that we mentioned a little bit earlier. These are two ways that we are able to see the standards represented. We will be using a student notebook, or if students feel more comfortable on a digital platform, they have this app. And both math and English standards are addressed. And in these journals, they will be able to analyze their findings with an English focus with a science and technical subject further focus in that English standard. And they'll do this by citing textual evidence, following steps, determining meaning of key terms, and to move forward with their math skills and the standards addressed, these are math functions and geometry, right? So this is going to help them understand where to plant their seeds in order to maximize the amount they can grow while giving each seedling the space it needs, how much water will be needed for these plants to grow. And this is all done in order to pre-assess and monitor students' progress with the project. And this is done both in the notebook, in assessments like we'll mention later on, but these standards are just continuously popping up in various moments throughout this project, just so students are reaffirming their abilities with these standards. So let's go ahead and move forward.
Now, for our core insights, we are very inclusive. We have accommodations that are very easy to implement in this situation because there's so many unique roles. Now, there is a caveat in that it's very difficult to make sure that those roles are equal in work and in challenge for the student. But we can work towards making these roles equitable. And as far as cultural identity goes, the food that can be made from these crops can be from anywhere in the world, and our cookbook encourages students to use their cultural background to create dishes based on these ingredients. And our neurodevelopmental methodology will be covered by my classmates later on, but we have both graphomotor and gross and fine motor functionality, because this project is just so large and so multifaceted that the students are going to be doing a lot of different things. They're going to be planting crops in the soil, researching, all that kind of thing. Thank you for listening.
So for the assessment, we'll be assessing whether or not a student or their group is prepared to move forward. So we need to make sure they have the knowledge they need in order to manage a school garden. So students will be given the choice to take either a traditional assessment or alternative assessment. So the traditional assessment would be the typical pen and paper assessment with multiple choice questions and short answer. But alternative assessments can include either an online version of the test, or they can make a poster demonstrating what they know, or a video, or they can give an oral presentation, and they also have the option to complete the assessment as a group. So the assessment requires students to demonstrate understanding of gardening basics, such as plant-specific jargon. So, for example, perennial versus annual. They also need to know the different soil types and what plants grow best in each kind, and also garden management. So how to water plants, how far apart to place them, and so on. As for group learning, from the literature review, we learned how widespread the practice of creating a school garden is and how it can be adapted to multiple grade levels and age ranges, so from elementary to high school. We also learned that students' backgrounds are intrinsically tied to how they might participate in the garden and what experiences they might bring or contribute, so what background knowledge they might have from their own culture that they can bring to help with the school garden. So school gardens have been shown to increase work ethic, lower delinquency rates, and improve the health practices in urban areas. So these all can provide the support that students with low socioeconomic status need.
So during this neurodevelopment methodology, we came up with the design and methodology of the project to lend themselves very naturally to differentiation, as students with different skills will naturally gravitate towards portions of the project they feel comfortable with. So we have different portions of this project that will allow students to be more comfortable in the outlets they want to express. So there's gonna be different things in the project that they can prioritize. In particular, we're going to be working with the students on their gross and graphite motor functions. Students develop their gross motor functions through operating around the garden and learning how to plant various number of plants. The neurodevelopment methodology continue. The graphomotor function that we're going to be working on in particular is when students are physically active and planting vegetables and watering plants along with the other gardening work. So just getting them moving around and actually doing physical activity and getting them to work with their body and coordinate themselves. I'm also using visual cues and breaking tasks into smaller steps to allow them to have more concentration when performing each physical step, which allows the student to be able to memorize these certain steps through physical movements one at a time. Then for the graphomotor function, we're allowing students to create and form their own journal entries, making them more relaxed when they are writing, because this makes them easy. It makes it better for them to remember in the long run when they do these, go back and do it for the assessments. This also engages them to practice writing and avoid trying to copy from other places, because when it's fun and creative, you don't want to look for the outlets. You're like, oh, I can do this on my own. Also, inside the garden, there will be many different forms of information for students to be able to write in their journal and there's going to be verbal details as well, so students can have that to be referenced in their journal for future assessments and to help them throughout their project doing certain steps in their project.